Hi, I'm Bob Garner, and I want to welcome you to tuning into CMU Public Television tonight. We are ready for another great edition of Ask the DNR, where we'll ask your questions to our panel of experts that are here. So you stay tuned, and we'll be right back with Ask the DNR. Hi, I'm Bob Garner, and lucky enough to be back here on CMU Public Television. We do this twice a year for an hour, and we've got some guests here that will answer your questions that you call in, questions about Michigan's natural resources. And I'd like to take care of a couple of housekeeping things right here and tell you that you can get us, tweet us, whatever that is. I'm not a big user of that thing, but you can Twitter us at WCMU. Underscore ask the WCMU underscore ASTA, or Facebook us at facebook.com/ask the specialist, and we'll try to get your questions up and give them a little priority too if you're using that sort of technology. Otherwise, call us. Use the old telephone, the landline, whatever line you want, 1-800-727-9268. And we have our guest here tonight, of course, Dean Molnar, the Assistant Chief of the Law Division, is here. Old friend, been with us for many, how many years now, Dean?
A lot of years.
Maybe?
A lot of years.
Something like that. Russ Mason is Chief of the Wildlife Division and as much a plain talker and plain speaker is one of my favorite people, old Harry S. Truman. So good to have you here. You had a lot to this, Russ. Wildlife Division Chief. And Mark Tonello, one of my favorite fish biologists out of Cadillac. Mark, it's always great to work with you, and I know you enjoy working with these guys too. So we've got a couple of questions we're going to start off with that people have called in or sent in to us. But also we'll have some questions too that are frequently asked questions at the counter at the DNR office in Cadillac. And Dave Hopp, we've got to say thank you so much for giving us a list of these frequently asked questions, and we will get to them. First question comes from a Facebook question from Sheboygan. Newspaper up there featured a 5-year-old that was a successful firearm deer hunter in the September youth hunt. Several of my friends have expressed concerns about whether 5 is too young. That's a good question, Russ. Is 5 too young? But the thing of it is legally they can do it.
Legally they can do it. And, I know some 25-year-olds that probably shouldn't have a gun. It's a matter of maturity and guidance from your parents.
And they can't be out there alone. They got to be right with a mentor and
at arm's length, you bet.
Okay, they have to be. It has to be right there. So, Facebook question from somebody in Sheboygan, senior citizen, asked me how come buck licenses are $6 for seniors. They get quite a break, but I had to pay $19 to get a doe tag, including $4 for the drawing. That's all set by the legislature.
It's all set by the legislature, and it's interesting to know now that Michigan has the cheapest deer license by $15. The next license, in terms of being cheap, is Hawaii, where you can shoot fallow deer for $30.
And not natural deer, not whitetails like we have. But
they didn't swim there, no.
Yeah, exactly. Beautiful place to deer hunt.
It is.
Though. Yeah, the temperature would be right all the time, wouldn't it? Anyway, he also says he's been putting in for an elk drawing since the 1960s. There was about 17 years there. Didn't have an elk season and hasn't gotten a tag. But there is a weighted preference system in place now where the more, we put it in when I was on the commission.
Yeah.
Where the more times you put in, the more seasons. You only put in one time.
The more seasons the better your chances.
The better your chances, you get more opportunity too. So you have to wait like most people have to wait for one of those. Facebook question, there's a possum living in our garage off and on since we bought the house 5 years ago. How can I oust the possum from the garage, Dean?
Well,
5 years.
Yeah, 5 years, that's a long time for one possum. A couple things, keep your door shut, keep the dog food, the cat food, any other bird seed there. It's looking for food. It's living there, it's obviously got shelter and it's got food. Keep the food off the floor, keep the door shut. And there's a reminder, a resident, a homeowner, if they're properly licensed, may take a possum year-round. as long as you're not shooting with your neighbor's safety zone and things like that.
Yeah, and you could develop some system to maybe trap it too in the garage.
Sure.
And so, yeah,
Sure.
and
Live
I don't
trap it.
think anybody's going to be looking for a license if you do that.
Or
So,
you could get a nuisance wildlife control guy. They're in the phone book.
yeah, they're in the phone book
good.
too. Exactly, and do a great job. Russ, this is the question on everybody's mind. Is there any sort of danger with this EHD and all the deer that have died, episodic hemorrhagic disease? Have I got
That's
that
real
name where
clo-
you're
You
right?
got it real close, and the answer is eating it? No. It's perfectly, if the deer's there and you take that deer, it's perfectly safe.
Okay, that's perfectly safe. But Russ, let's spend just a minute because I think a lot of people want to know. There have been reports of a lot of dead deer up north, as far as maybe Reed City or somewhere, somewhere up in there. Is it going to make quite an impact on the deer herd? And how do you really know at this point?
Well, that's a great question. We've gotten reports of deer now from 29 counties. We know that about 10,500 deer have been reported to us. If you multiply that out 3 or 4 times, it's a guesstimate there. That's about 40,000 deer, but that's still less than 10% of the total harvest, not the population, but the harvest in those places.
Okay.
Some folks are going to see a poorer season. Some will see the same season as last year. We have the same number of deer going through Rose Lake and Plainwell and all of our deer
Okay.
check stations as last year.
As last year, so that's pretty even. That's great news, isn't it? Okay, the other thing too is, Mark, the salmon and steelhead run, that was sort of goofed up. I mean, it was natural what happened up there, but that has changed quite a bit for this year. It's going to be a longer wait on the steelhead, isn't it?
Yeah, well, we had a long, hot summer that extended well into September. And so in 2011, we had an early salmon run. We had a lot of fish in August. We didn't have that this year. And so we're seeing a lot of Chinooks coming in right now. A lot of Chinooks up like at Tippy Dam are right now with all the recent rain we've had, with all the water. And so the Chinook run will be winding down here shortly. And we're starting to get reports of steelhead coming in as well.
Okay. Can you use a rifle for predator hunting in the deer shotgun zone? We answer this question every year, don't we, Dean?
Right, and the answer is yes, you can, other than the 15 days during the firearm deer season. You can use a rifle in the southern Michigan for small game hunting, predator hunting, any type of hunting other than 15 days worth of deer hunting.
And nothing's changed. It's been one of the real archaic, when you look at laws in the state, that you can use a 30-06 to hunt squirrels with, all during the squirrel season except for 15 days in November.
Right, and people ask, well, why can't I do it during the 15 days? And the answer is because not during the 15-day firearm deer season, we've got a lot less people out in the field. Whereas during the firearm deer season, we have 600,000 people across the state plus hunting.
Right.
It's a lot of congestion, a lot of urban areas. Shotguns don't shoot as far. It's for safety considerations. And they can use shotguns, they can use handguns, they can use bows, they can use crossbows. A lot of opportunities to take deer during that 15 days.
Are there any restrictions or easing the restrictions in the legislature now to change that?
There is some talk, and a bill has been introduced about using smaller cartridges, like cartridges that you would use in handguns, shorter cartridges in rifles. That's working its way.
Straight wall cartridges.
Straight
stuff
walls,
like that. Okay.
right? And that's working its way through the legislature right now.
Okay, well, that's not such a bad idea, really, when you take a look at it. Anyway, Russ, I wanted to ask you, the Northwest counties, there will be no antler point, change in antler point restrictions this year, right?
None whatsoever. If that rolls forward, it'd start in 2013.
Okay, that sounds good. Is there baiting in Yak this year? Somebody from Pinckney wants to know that Yak isn't a county, but that would be Presqu'île County. Is baiting allowed in Presqu'île?
Well, the south part of Presqu'île is open. The north part is not. It's still closed to baiting. That was a change last year.
Okay. When is there going to be a let up in the timber cutting on public land in northeast Michigan? Too much, this resident from Atlanta says. Boy, oh boy, if you like deer hunting and grouse hunting, there's usually not enough. Is there, Russ?
There's never enough.
And,
That's about the answer. If you want game population, a lot of non-game, early successional forest is the one you're looking for. So it may not be aesthetically as pleasing to some folks, but it's great.
but that's
for
only
wildlife.
for a few years.
It's only for a few years, and those young forests are great for wildlife.
And when I see, 5 to 10-year-old aspen stands, where they've cut and all that stuff, I know as a bird hunter and as a deer hunter, I light right up.
Exactly.
That's where you're going to find a game. But just to add to that, every 10 years, every piece of state land is reviewed for treatment. And if you get a hold of the DNR in the Atlanta office or whatever, you can get on a list and go make a comment about every year, every compartment of land they review.
We have open houses for every compartment reviewed.
And if you want to go in and learn why they want to do it and still object to it, that's the time to do it.
Exactly.
Okay, as a bear tag and as a tribal member, gentleman from Wolverine, I assume this gentleman wants to know, does the guide have to also be a tribal member, Dean? He's a tribal member with a bear tag.
Okay, tribal member with a bear tag, okay. Maybe the question is, can a non-tribal member guide them? Okay, if it's during the tribal season, the answer is no. We just had a court case on that.
Okay.
They have to be either during our regular season, they have to be life properly licensed, but outside of our season, a non-tribal member cannot guide or run the dogs for a tribal member.
Okay, and Mark and Dean can handle this. Can I pick up, this is from Tustin, Michigan, where home of Hoagland Hardware did a story on it, Destination Michigan. Can I pick up salmon that has recently died after spawning? I don't know why you'd want to, but can you do it?
Carp bait, or for coyotes.
As far as I know, yes.
It would be part of your bag limit. I mean, if you're a properly licensed fisherman and, well, I guess a dead one, that's a good question.
Yeah.
I would say not legally caught. The answer technically would be no. But I would say that being from Tustin and you're from Cadillac, give Mark a call tomorrow morning at the office and we can discuss a little bit more what their issues are.
Okay. Yeah, there is a legal entanglement there.
Right.
There's no question, but nobody's probably going to, they might give you some sort of award for doing that. I don't know. Folks from Engadine, as Sonny Elliott used to say, Engadine in the Upper Peninsula, Mackinac County. I want to know, why can bucks be taken during the bow season? They haven't had a chance to breed. Well, there'll be enough bucks to breed, won't there?
There will be enough bucks to breed. Our forecast is pretty sunny for the UP this year.
Yeah, it looks pretty good on the east end, doesn't it? And how can you legally stop people from shining a light on this lady's property? She says it feels like trespassing. It does feel like you're getting violated when you do that, but then that's not illegal, is it?
Right, it's not illegal. The shining regulations are you cannot shine during the month of November unless you're a landowner and you're on your own property. And during the rest of the year, you can't shine after 11 p.m. or before 6 a.m. Okay. So it's one of those questions we get a lot, and we ask, kind of appeal to our sports person, don't shine people's houses when you're out there. It's a lot of fun to go look for deer, but be considerate of the landowners.
Oh my gosh, isn't it just basic human courtesy?
Exactly.
I mean, holy smokes. And
exactly.
I know we're well into this, but I got to ask somebody, we got a Tiger score yet? We got a Tiger score? They won? The Tigers won, all right. I hate to get away from the, but if you're a Tiger fan in this great old state of Michigan, this is high cotton right now, glory days. Okay, folks from St. Ignace that called in, the Tigers won, by the way, if you didn't get that. Do coyotes attack people?
Yes, they do. Not very often, but they do. 4, 5, 6 times a year in various parts of the country. Typically when they've been fed by people. These are coyotes that are looking at folks as the food guys.
Really?
Really.
Yeah, I've heard of them attacking dogs and stuff like that, and luring dogs out with, but there's a reason they're called Wile E. Coyotes, huh?
Exactly, and they're looking for food.
They're looking for food. Okay. Where's the line for shotgun rifle zone in Michigan? This call comes from McBain. Where can you find it? You can find it right there in the guide, can't you?
Right. It's basically kind of from the thumb area across. It wiggles its way across M57. But look in the guide, it gives a good distinction of where that shotgun line is.
Okay. Free soil. They want to know, first part of the question is, does the DNR get only a $1.50 license fee? That's not true. That $1.50 is the Deer Range Improvement Fund.
Right.
No, DNR gets, they have to because it's all federally audited. In order to match Pittman Robertson, and money has to go to the DNR.
It is. We're audited by the state and the feds. By the
state and the feds, and by sportsmen's groups and everything else. There was one other part of that question from Free Soil too. The state of Ohio has a processing fund to pay for processing of donated venison. How about Michigan? We certainly do. We have a fund. You buy your license, you can donate to the. I'm trying to think of the name of it.
It's
that.
Yeah.
Hunters for.
Hunters for the Hunter?
It's the. and we've all been part of it, and probably all of us have donated to it, but it's there, and you can go online to DNR website and Hunt for Hunger, Sportsman
for Hunger.
That's it.
Put the plug in.
Yeah.
Safari Club is great supporters, and this is one of the things they do best.
Exactly. No, there's a lot of donated venison. A lot of hungry people get fed from it. And please, if you can, make a donation there. Okay. Why do we have to take our portable ground blinds down every day when we're hunting public land? Folks from Memphis, Michigan.
They don't. After November 6th, they can leave them out as long as they have their name and address on them, clearly marked. Before that, they have to, because there's 3 different types of blinds. We have manufactured blinds, we have pop-up blinds, and then we have fully constructed blinds. You can use those pop-up blinds, before the season for archery hunting, but you have to take them out with you, because right now, the way the regulations are, you cannot leave a constructed blind other than natural materials in the woods before November 6th.
Okay. Okay, not before November 6th.
Right.
Okay. Any proof there are mountain lions in central Michigan area? The neighbor in Farwell thinks he saw one a couple times in the past 5 years. This is obviously from Farwell.
Central Michigan, I'm guessing that must be the northern lower, and the answer is nope.
No proof positive.
No proof positive. We got them in the UP, a few walking out of the Dakotas coming this way. It's possible that one could get here, but it's pretty darn hard coming through Indiana and Illinois.
In fact, they even find mountain lions from out in the Dakotas walking all the way to Missouri too.
Actually, we had one walk out of the Dakotas, walk across Minnesota, walk into us, walk into Canada, walk into New York, and get hit by a Vega in Connecticut.
Hit by a Vega.
I don't know,
Must
it
have
was a
been
Vega, but
tremendous.
the point is, it went a
damage,
very
huh?
long way. Young males do that.
Okay. Will turkey hunting reopen in the upper part of the northern lower, do you think, at some point? And I think this is the fall season they're talking about.
I guess it's possible, but at the same time, we have concerns about our turkey populations in the northern part of the lower peninsula, and so we're very careful. That fall hunt is a population control hunt as opposed to what we do in the spring.
Hey, this is an old friend and fan called in, Joan, and she's sitting right next to my dog Theo, watching me on television. Theo, Joan, how you doing? Okay, ask me to wave to him. I'll do that. Davison, do they make any deer avoidance devices for vehicles? And I think the question is, do they make any deer avoidance devices for vehicles that work?
No.
No?
Long story short, no. Deer, they have ultrasound things you can bunt on your bumpers. Turns out deer can't hear ultrasound. People that put them on their bumpers tend to drive more carefully,
Yeah?
but the deer can't hear them.
Wow. Wow. That's not news to me. I had them on my vehicles. I know more people had them on my vehicles than smacked deer too. Great idea, but probably not a workable one at this point. Folks from Cadillac, our neck of the woods there, Dean, and they say they're snagging Mark at Tippy Dam. Is the DNR aware of that? I would bet the DNR is very aware of that. Have you got reports?
Yes, we are very aware of the snagging that goes on at Tippy Dam. Our officers very diligently work that area. It is a frustrating issue because if anglers want to work at it hard enough, you can get those kings to bite, and it's frustrating because not only do salmon get snagged, but species like brown trout and steelhead also get snagged. So it is a frustrating issue that we deal with, and what we'd like to see is anglers just do it legal and try to get those fish to bite.
Okay, yeah.
Bob, as a follow-up to that,
Absolutely. You've chased more snaggers around at Tippy Dam than anybody I know.
a few.
Yeah, yeah.
Our officers are very aggressively working snagging issues down at Tippy Dam. It is a because the fish are congregated there, we're well aware of it. However, I encourage our listeners that if you're out there, call our 1-800-RAP line. Give us the information. Let us know about it because we need the sportsmen's support and help. To help us do the job down there.
Yeah, everybody looks at the DNR to do the job. DNR is not the only one that needs to do the job. It should be pointed at yourself too. We can all point at each other to be helpful.
Over the years, we've ran citizen patrols down there. They've been very effective. They've helped us out tremendously. There's a lot of good folks down there that are helping us do our job down there. We appreciate their help.
Let me just digress for a second. I promised them we'd go fast, but let me tell you something, folks. There's not been a license fee increase in 15 years. Cost of gas has gone up a little bit in 15 years and the cost of everything else. And until there is, all you're going to see is fewer and fewer and fewer conservation officers out there because you can't afford them. And so consequently, if you want more of this enforcement, you want more COs out there, there's only one way to do it, and it takes the legislature to do that. That's my 2 cents worth on that, but that is a God-honest truth, and that's a difficulty. We'll never have enough, we won't have enough COs until, we can't even make a dent in it until something happens there. When will the DNR reintroduce elk into the UP? This one comes from Gold City. Were there ever historically elk in the UP?
Nope. No, the
They
UP
were in
was
lower
never
Michigan.
elk. It was woodland caribou and moose. There's talk every now and again about putting elk up there, and certainly we could do it. It's just a question of money and priorities, and right now that's not. It's a high dollar deal, and it's not a priority.
And maybe you don't want a bunch of elk up there either.
Maybe
you know?
we don't.
Maybe,
but that's a
maybe
question
the,
we could do.
yeah. The elk are a wonderful resource, but they're a two-edged sword, aren't they?
Well, they compete with deer. They do crop damage. They're going to get into the federal forest, and those guys aren't wild about them. There's a lot of questions there.
Susceptible to brain worm and
There's stuff going on.
A lot of stuff about them. This one comes from Facebook. I don't know where it came from, but it says, "Hey Dino, how about this? Can you deer hunt with a handgun? If you can do that, can you use a semi-automatic? Of course you can,
Absolutely.
right?
Yep.
In fact, can you deer hunt really with any handgun in southern Michigan now, can't you?
That's correct.
Yeah. So
Yep. Now, okay, there's the one on that is the Thompson Center Contender.
Right.
It has to be a straight wall cartridge.
Straight wall cartridge.
Straight wall cartridge. Can't have the gooseneck rifle cartridge that you can shoot out of a Contender pistol.
Okay. Okay, 80-acre farm from Breckenridge, Michigan. 80-acre farm, how many deer can landowner on an 80-acre farm take for both husband and wife? Well, it depends on how many antlerless tags you have and buck tags and that sort of stuff. It doesn't make any difference that you have an 80-acre farm or a 160-acre farm or a 40-acre farm or whatever.
No, currently right now it's you can buy up to 10 antlerless tags, and if they both bought combination licenses, ultimately they could shoot 24 deer.
Okay. Okay. This question from Reed City, and I don't know how they get the read on this one, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Why does the DNR promote shooting large bucks instead of does for better management practice? Well, actually, you've tried to get people to shoot the does.
Well,
been unsuccessful in many places.
We've tried to do that. If the question is related to the TB zone, what we're trying to do is actually get people to spend longer in the woods. We've made a whole bunch of changes up there trying to get folks to both reduce the number of deer and also to focus in on some of those older bucks because they're the vector for moving TB around that country.
Okay, in Benzie County. Hey, Roy Heckman's the soon-to-retire sheriff up there and a real good natural resources supporter up in that neck of the woods. A heck of a carver, too. These folks want to know, can they use an electronic call for coyote and fox hunting at night?
Absolutely. Absolutely they can.
Okay. Any restrictions?
No, not on electronic calls, not for predators, especially at night.
Folks from Reed City want to know, great question, doe with a large bald spot above the tail. If I shoot it and tag it, will you honor me with a new license? Well, that's probably pretty much up to a conservation officer as to whether you can, isn't it? Or if they see it as
not really. I give that one to Russ because there are certain times that we will give a disease control
We'll give it,
license back.
if they come through a check and the animal is defective
Right.
in some way. Bald spot probably won't get you there. It needs to be a little bit more than a bald spot on
Then
the
a bald
deer.
spot on the tail.
Yeah.
TB would do it.
TB would get you one. you bet.
TB would do it. And maybe, like a couple of things. We're getting down to where we're going to take a quick little break here. In fact, when we take the break, I'm going to, in case I don't get time to mention it, we're going to cut to a piece we did on Destination Michigan with Ed Shaw at the Carl T. Johnson Hunting and Fishing Center in Cadillac. Folks, if you haven't been there, you got to get there. We got 1 minute till we're going to cut to that. It is just a great spot. To the fish biologist, I think that's you, Mr. Tonello. Okay, what's causing the low water levels outside of the 15-year cycle, and how is it affecting fishing? And you haven't got enough time to address how it's affecting fishing, but
more than 1
take
minute.
the minute to do
what
it.
I'll say is, we're in an extended drought, and Lake Michigan is at its lowest levels since 1964, and the Army Corps of Engineers is projecting that we'll hit a record low by this spring. So lack of rain is the big key.
Okay, and that's it. When you don't get enough rain, you don't get enough snow in the winter. You know, the warm weather is nice, but
No ice on the lakes,
Lot of
lots of
evaporation.
evaporation, a lot of stuff going on.
a lot of stuff going on. Is Michigan voter ID proof enough to obtain a fishing or hunting license?
Voter ID?
Yeah.
Yes.
It is? Okay.
Well, they're going to need a couple forms of proof of residency.
Not insurance and residency.
Yeah, it's insurance. We don't want that.
I would have done the same thing. Dean.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. What's the proper procedures? We got we got to wrap it up. I'll tell you what. We'll start this question. We will start this question when we come back. It's from Shiawassee County, and folks, right now we're going to take a little break, and we're going to take a look at a part of this Destination Michigan series we do on Monday nights, 7:30, right here on CMU Public Television. And this one takes place at Cadillac at the Carl T. Johnson Hunting and Fishing Center.
Well, our final stop tonight takes us to the shores of another duo of inland lakes. Lake Cadillac and Lake Mitchell make the town of Cadillac a premier outdoors destination. Our Bob Garner knows the Cadillac area as well as anyone, and tonight Bob shows off one of Cadillac's gems. Sit back and enjoy the ride to Mitchell State Park in Cadillac as Bob Garner visits the Carl T. Johnson Hunting and Fishing Center.
Located on the west side of Cadillac, right next to Mitchell State Park on M115, this tribute to our conservation heritage was named after Carl T. Johnson. Carl lived well into his 90s and served as a Natural Resources Commissioner for the state of Michigan and was also mayor of Cadillac, along with many other positions he held along the way. He was active in getting this center up and running, and he was very successful in the insurance business. Carl was known for his bear and cat hunting, and I got to go along on several of those adventures. The Hunting and Fishing Center has become a landmark of conservation history, and under the guidance of Park Interpreter Ed Shaw, it's a great place to learn more about outdoor activities. It's pretty interesting, all the classes you do for hunter education, actually fishing classes. Folks can come here and learn how to hunt and fish too, and learn where to go.
Yes, we have guys here that have been hunting and fishing all their life. Just like me, there's lots of guys here. You want to know where to go hunting and fishing, this should be your first stop in the area. We have two wonderful lakes located within Mitchell State Park, access on both ends. You can go out and ice fish, boat, you know, in the summertime, regular fishing. We have great hunting right down the road, lots of state and federal land. This is the first stop you should be, and we will tell you where to go. We will help you out in every which way we can. This is the place to come. If you want to know about outdoor, pretty much just about anything, you want to learn about it, you want to get involved with it, you want to do it, come to the Carl T. Hunt and Fish Center.
Hey folks, we are back, but just to remind you, Destination Michigan 7:30, October 29th, we start the brand new series with that. That's Monday nights. I know you're used to turning into Michigan Out of Doors at here on Central Michigan Public Television on Thursday nights, but don't forget Destination Michigan. It's a fun show, and I work with some great people on just the one little segment I do in every show. And this again from Shiawassee County, Dean. What's the proper procedure? How do you deal with poachers or trespassers? Because folks don't usually run into them when there's a law enforcement officer around.
You know, we encourage folks to be our eyes and ears, to help us out. You know, first off, you can call our Report All Poaching hotline at 1-800-292-7800. It's in our guides, it's on our website. Now, if you do encounter somebody, get some information as best as you can, whether it's vehicle descriptions, people descriptions, times, when they're out there, you know, what the actual activity was. You know, be our eyes and ears, get that information to an officer by calling the RAP line. However, never ever do we encourage you to take action yourself. You know, if somebody's doing something illegal, they're a poacher, they're a criminal, okay? And that's what we do. Be our eyes and ears, get us the information, get it to us.
Okay.
Bob, one thing I want to make clear when we that last question.
On the the identification
Yeah,
and
identification.
residency requirements. Yeah.
I kind of missed that question because we're talking about making some changes where a voter registration card might be what to use.
Right.
But currently, right now, you need a driver's license, you need a Michigan ID, or a sports card that's issued at the field or at the operation service centers. So, if you don't have a driver's license, usually people will have a Michigan ID card.
Yeah, Michigan ID
Thank
card,
you.
right.
Yeah.
Hey, the other thing, I had to take just a minute here because those of you that started out at 7:30 with us and those of you that just joined us, I want you to notice one thing. Not only we got a great panel of experts here on CMU Public Television, but we've also not had one political ad the whole night long, and there won't be one. So anyway, another good reason, probably reason number one to turn to public television, because if you're sick of them as I am, anyway. Hey, Russ, what are you doing to improve pheasant population in Michigan? And improving the pheasant population, really, there's good wildlife knowledge you have to have about pheasants, but it's a crapshoot, isn't it?
Well, it's a crapshoot, but for the last couple of years, we've had this pheasant restoration initiative going. We've got 7 co-ops going on the landscape now. We're doing better at Verona. We're doing better at Maple River and a number of other game areas. Pheasants are very much a focus of our attention, and I'm thinking folks are going to start seeing a difference.
And I hope so, because many attempts have been made all over the country to bring pheasant. It's not just Michigan that is suffering in pheasant population.
No, it's ditch row to ditch row farming that does it. We need to do things to bring that habitat back. We get habitat, we're going to have birds.
Okay. And Cadillac, question from Cadillac. Always glad to get one from there. My hometown. What's the proper posting between private property and federal state land? You have to post all the borders, don't you?
Well, private property, to post your private property, you have to post it so it's conspicuous that wherever somebody would enter on that property, they would have to see a sign.
Okay.
It has to be at least minimum 50 inches on the sign, and you have to have 1-inch lettering on it to make it so that we can
And
get
a judge made that rule up. somewhere.
Exactly.
Yeah, right. That's not in the legislation, but a judge said that
Right.
it had to be so. Okay, Frankfurt, Alberta area. In fact, you were just in a meeting there, Mark, on this. Folks from Livonia, and it's great to have these calls from the Detroit area. I just love these things. They want to know if there will be dredging on the Betsy River there, because that's been a problem, right, Mark?
It was early on, back in mid-September when we had real warm water temperatures. The Chinook salmon had a hard time getting through there. And so we did have a fish kill out there. We lost, we're guessing, 1,000, maybe 1,200 kings. But that is out of a run of about, in the tens of thousands. And so luckily, once the water cooled off, and then we issued an emergency fish closure for that area. And anglers were real good about staying away from there. So once anglers...
Let's make this point, too. Anglers stayed out of there. But the order didn't go into effect for 21 days, and you guys posted signs saying, it's not the law, but if you could please not harass these fish and give them a chance to run. And it worked out well, didn't it?
Yeah, and we appreciate the fact that anglers did stay out of there and let those fish run. And so eventually, once the water cooled off, and that was a big key, because those salmon trying to run that shallow water and hot water, that's really tough on them. And so once it cooled off, that really helped. And so since then, the Betsy River has had a really good Chinook salmon run. We've got plenty of fish up there to perpetuate the run. It is a wild run. Those are not stocked fish. And so we're in much better shape now. So the question is there going to be a dredge project? And there is not one planned right now. I'm not saying that there won't be, but if you haven't seen it, it would be a major project, and it would be very expensive to do anything. And the reason for that whole situation is, again, because Lake Michigan is low. So if Lake Michigan comes back up, that problem will disappear.
In the 80s, we dealt with high water there, and we wondered what we were going to do to keep the shoreline from all landed into the lake. And it kind of turns a big circle, this old nature of ours, doesn't it?
Unfortunately, yeah.
Yeah. And nature can take it, but humans don't deal with it very well sometimes.
Our cycles are shorter.
There's a question here about, does your child have to take a hunter safety course for the youth hunt? Yes and no. Depends on what's the way they license out.
Right. If they're hunting under the mentor license, no, they don't have to have hunter's ed. After 10, then yes, they do, unless they're hunting under an apprentice license, which they can do for 2 years. Anybody can over the age of 10 and not have hunter's ed for 2 years, as long as you're with a mentor.
Okay, this comes out of Mackinac County, but the most important part of this two-part question is right here. Will there be a hunter safety course in Mackinac County anytime soon? Well, Dean, I don't suppose you know the answer to that, but you know where they can find that
Right,
out.
absolutely. Go on our website, and we have a really good link to all the hunter ed classes and all the recreational safety classes. So go on our website. It'll give you contact information, where they're available, when they're available, and all the information you need.
Okay, and this is a question from Facebook. All this new technology, holy smokes, is it true that Michigan once offered a lifetime hunting license? If so, would they ever consider doing it again? That's from Midland County, and I can kind of address that because I was in the middle of all of that back when I worked for the legislature and was doing Michigan Outdoors. Yes, they did offer a lifetime hunting license, and some people bought it, but it didn't go over real well. And it got to the legislature determines licenses and fees, not the DNR. DNR can't do that, only the legislature. And would they ever consider you do it again? Well, you're going to have to ask your legislator about that. Okay? Why won't the DNR introduce perch at Rockport? This comes from Presque County. Have you guys ever introduced perch anywhere recent times?
Not in recent times. The problem, I'm assuming they're talking about Lake Huron, and the problem with trying to do something like that is you would have to, in a lake the size of Lake Huron, you would have to raise literally billions and billions of perch, and it just would not be economically feasible. Our hatchery system is not designed for that type of project, so I love perch as much as anybody else. They are certainly tasty and fun to catch, but that's probably not going to be feasible.
Tell me, if you could tomorrow, you could go out and catch 30 really nice perch, would you fish anything else?
I might be calling in sick.
Yeah. Or doing research, one of the two, huh, Mark? Question from Lewiston. Actually, we've had a number of questions from, I think, Osco County too, on this, where the spike bans are in effect. Will they ever be lifted? Where you can't shoot spike box? It's going to take, the people are going to have to do it themselves.
People are going to have to do it themselves.
Okay. And why doesn't the state have an earn-a-buck program? This comes from, I can't tell, I think it's Pinckney. Why doesn't the state have an earn-a-buck? I think you'd have a revolt amongst
Well, I'll give you two good answers. One, I like keeping my job, and it cost the guy in Wisconsin and in New York theirs.
Yeah.
Here's the deal. A lot of people don't support it. In fact, in Wisconsin, just recently, the legislature told the DNR there to either quit it or they'd quit it for them. So it's a very controversial thing.
Very, very controversial thing, and what it improves is all up for grabs too.
Right.
Okay. Question from Flint. Why are they clear cutting thousands of acres in northern Crawford County? I doubt they're cutting too many thousands of acres in Crawford County, clear cutting. Why don't they select cut instead? Well, this is from Flint, our viewers in Flint. If you can't select cut aspen and expect it to regrow, all you do is end it as an aspen stand.
Right. We need to know more to really answer that question well, but yeah, that's the answer.
Okay, are we going to, and it's true, you can't do that with aspen. I had to explain that to folks I own property with. And boy, once the cuts were made, a couple years went by, they were happy. They were just tickled. Are we ever going to get more Skamania summer steelhead in Michigan? Folks from Lake City want to know.
Currently, we plant Skamania steelhead in the Manistee River and St. Joe rivers. And so if you're looking for them, that's the two best places to find them. As of right now, there are not plans to stock more in other rivers. Not that it could never be done, but at least as of right now, there are no plans to do so.
At this point in time. Hey, this is a tweet. I think formally it's a tweet from Twitter, and it's a good one. I'd like to know the rest of the story on this question. Is it legal to hunt for Canadian geese using a slingshot?
No, I think is the answer.
As long as you use a steel ball, right?
The answer is no.
The answer is no?
Single projectile?
Single projectile. No.
Oh, yeah, cool.
Even I know the answer to that one. That's good. I like that. Good.
And I can only guess why that question was asked, can't you?
There's somebody in the backyard, and they got a kitchen window that looks out.
And they've got a dock that they can't walk on anymore because the goose poop is, yeah, there you go. Luce County. I know the answer to this one. We'll do a check Bob on this one. Luce County, is it legal to use a 22-250 in deer season? It's legal.
Absolutely. The trick is center fire rifle. We can't use a rim fire rifle, but we don't restrict the caliber on the rifle. It has to be a center fire.
Okay. And Dean, this has happened to you and I, where we duck hunt.
Shoot ducks?
Huh?
Not shoot any ducks?
Well, in the last few years, but that's about ready to change big time. And we started flooding that out.
That's true.
Okay. Okay, this is from Midland. Can you shoot a partridge not wearing orange while you're walking to your duck blind? That's happened to you with woodcock, and you haven't shot.
That's right. Nope. The law is very specific. If you're small game hunting partridge, you have to have at least a hunter's orange hat on.
Good question coming out of Merritt here for Russ. 2 questions. I'll give them to you both. I think you can handle them. Potential moose hunt in the UP and considering a wolf hunt in Michigan.
Well, let's go to the moose first. We had a group get together about a year ago. The governor convened it, and what that group said was that we needed to have a survey before the year with the moose hunt. This year we're having a survey, so we'll see.
Okay.
That we'll roll forward. Moose hunt, well, that's before the legislature. Right now they're an ungame species in the state of Michigan. In order to have a hunt, the legislature has to take action and turn them into a game species.
Folks from Interlochen, where great place, Green Lake up there. Place to get smelt too. When you get a fishing fine, does the money go to? Why does the money go to the public libraries?
Well,
Dean, you know how that works,
right? That's just the way it's set up through the legislature. We get a $10 conservation fee off any fish or game ticket that we issue, and that's all the DNR receives back. As far as the fine structures, is $10.
Okay, and that was from Facebook. Are the Asian carp going to threaten the Traverse City area? Folks from TC want to know.
Well, the answer to that one is...
They probably won't start a war there, but they could affect the fishing pretty good.
Maybe a fish war.
Okay.
No one knows how the Asian carp would do in certain areas. Grand Traverse Bays are probably not ideal Asian carp territory or habitat, but there certainly could be some there, and they could affect the entire lake as a whole. So could be indirect effects even if they don't do well in the Grand Traverse Bays themselves.
If we're watching Quiz Bowl, this would be, I think, the lightning round we're coming up on here. Can we deer hunt with a 22 pistol? Folks from Melvin, Michigan want to know. I think Melvindale maybe.
Nope, that goes right back to you cannot use a rimfire firearm for the firearm deer season.
Hey, here's a good one from Sheboygan. Why hasn't there been a cormorant season established?
Cormorants are a migratory bird, and actually what we can and can't do is determined by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. What we can and can't do may change, however, because they're redoing the regulations in 2015.
Okay, okay. And this one from Cedar Springs, this got to be an old timer like myself, remembers old days of Michigan deer hunting. Or somebody had heard about it, I suppose. They said, why don't they allow the UP to open up a week earlier than the Lower Peninsula to take pressure off hard-hit areas in the Lower Peninsula, hard-hit areas from disease? Probably wouldn't. People are going to deer hunt where they want to deer hunt anyway.
That's about the way that works.
And I like going. I've never hunted anywhere in Michigan that I did enjoy my deer hunt. Mm-hmm. And I typically go to the UP, but now I've been hunting down here and then going up later. And it's all good, man.
It's all good. People go.
It's all good.
Yeah, for the experience.
Okay, and another one where we've already answered from Swartz Creek. When can we start hunting wolves? Where's the largest population of wild hogs in Michigan? Howard, folks from Howard City used to be the home of Olson Knives. They want to know. Where would you say you got more pigs?
I would suggest that they go out on the website because we post where the sightings are, and that's probably the best place. I don't know. I mean, we do have them scattered around. We do post the sightings. That'd be a great spot for them to start and look at, plan when they want to go.
Base of Saginaw Bay. Just start there and start moving out. But again, we have this current thing where every single hog sighting that's given to us goes on that map. You can go there right down to almost section and range and figure out where you want to.
Yeah, and we were over on the east side, I think, just into Bay County, and Keith was pointing out a farm. Maybe we were still in Aranac, a farm that was just getting banged up with wild hogs.
You see them all the time. In fact, we just had a number taken off of Gratiot Saginaw.
Oh, okay.
And remember, too, if you remember the Saginaw Field and Stream Club, which nobody's watching tonight because they should be at their week or their monthly meeting, but which is going on tonight, and you shoot one of those wild hogs, they'll pay you a $50 bounty on it.
If you're a member.
If you're a member. If you're a member. And there's no good reason I know of not to be a member of the Saginaw Field and Stream Club. What a great club. Folks from Grand Blanc, down south of Flint there, the other side of Flint, I should say. It's the best thing legally to do if you find a person building a deer blind on your property.
Well, a couple of things. You got a trespass situation going on. If you want to file charges on it, give us a call. Call that 800 RAP number, and we will send an officer out to file trespass charges against them. That happens a lot. People will go on somebody else's property and put up blinds and want to deer hunt. So if they want to press charges, we'd be more than happy to work with the landowner.
Okay. Why are farmers allowed to pump out of the Pine River in Montcalm County? This came from Facebook. We canoe and feel it lowers the water level. There are a lot of laws that DNR has no control of that deal with water, aren't there, Mark?
I can handle that a little bit. I'm pretty sure the way the law reads for that is if you are a riparian, you have the right to pump water out of a lake or a stream as long as you do not harm the people downstream of you. And the law is pretty nebulous, and it's not specifically worded. And so if there was a case, and it has been done, where people downstream have proved damage from upstream pumping. So it can be proved, but it's, the burden of proof is on the people downstream to prove that there is a harm from that pumping.
And it's not a DNR issue. It goes right to state law, land law, and
Correct.
water rights. Right. And I can tell you, when I worked for the legislature almost 30 years ago, I headed up a group to try and define all of those things. Mm-hmm. And you talk about like trying to herd cats. It was, what are you up to? It was, I don't know. I wouldn't take on the job again. When's the DNR going to ban such baits as the Turk ticklers and the other weighted hooks? They are banned, basically, aren't they?
Well, no. Those we have worked on that a little bit, and I can let Dean help me with this one. But we have attempted to try and make those. And what he's referring to is basically a 1 ounce chunk of lead with a couple of treble hooks attached to it and a blue magic marker on it. It's something that no self-respecting fish would ever bite. And so our officers are aware that anyone using that type of gear probably has ill intentions toward the fish. And so, we suggest that anglers don't use it. By letter of the law, those lures are legal. And, we would certainly like to find a way to make those illegal. But as of right now, they are technically legal.
They are legal. They are a legal lure, as it's manufactured. However, it's the method that they use that our officers are looking for.
Yeah. And if you're there ripping that through the water, and you keep a fish that wasn't,
or if you're attempting to snag fish, or you retain a foul hook fish, then you're subject to violation.
And most judges don't have a lot of sense of humor about this stuff anymore.
No, we're supported very well by our court system when it comes to snagging salmon.
And not only that, they tend to these judges are just when they see repeat customers, they're not very happy.
There's actually, in snagging laws, there are escalation clauses that the fines go up.
I remember that, yeah.
Right, and substantially. And you're also subject to a restitution per pound for the fish, too, for illegally taken fish.
Holy smokes, that could be an expensive screw-up, couldn't it?
If you're a true fisherman, you're not going to use gear like that.
Okay. Facebook here, they talk about youth hunters getting them to be able to use a firearm, the younger ones on public lands.
I guess
because now what you can't use if you're in that youngest age group.
Right. The youngest age group firearms have to be on private property, but also 10 to 13-year-olds can hunt deer with a firearm, but only on private property.
Okay. And hey, just in this Facebook question, my husband purchased a small game license, buck license for a 10-year-old granddaughter at, and I won't say, what store. They used his driver's license for her license. She did not get a sports card. Was this done wrong? Folks from Rochester Hill, down in our Detroit greater metropolitan area, should call it.
Right. That was incorrect. The youth should have been issued their own sports card.
Okay.
So that was done incorrectly.
Okay. This is, and what would you remedy that? Would you go to the DNR office or get on the horn and call Lansing or something?
I would suggest that they call the Operations Service Center closer to them to help remedy that. Work right through our office on that.
Okay, that would be good. And these folks can make mistakes too at the sporting goods stores.
Absolutely.
You gotta take a look at your receipt and keep it and that sort of stuff, and it helps then to correct something. From Tawas, I don't know the answer to this. Most of these, have a pretty good idea after all these years. I don't know the answer to this one. Great question. Could you milk a fish for its eggs and then release the fish?
No.
No,
that is
okay.
illegal. And I forget exactly how the law reads, but there's something in the law about you cannot take a fish solely for its eggs.
Mark's correct. Yep, he's got it.
Really? That's in the law. And that's not DNR law, that's in state law.
That's correct.
That's in state law. So if you want to be able to do that, go see your legislator. Maybe they can help you out. From Cohocton down in Livingston County. This is always good to see this too. Is it true we can spear pike on Houghton Lake this year? The answer is true.
That is correct. Yep. Thank your legislature for that. It had been over 50 years, I think, that law had been in place. There really was no biological reason for that law to be in place. And so we were able to work with the legislature and get them to repeal that. And so now this winter, you will be able to spear on Houghton Lake.
And that's kind of cool too, because that ban went back to 1940, I believe, when people were fearing they were spearing walleyes or something. And you see it in political ads, and you see it a lot in natural resources, that fear tends to drive people to do something. Fear of something. Folks, it's time to face the future, not fear it. This is a good move. This is a very good move. Can you put a coyote, can you shoot a coyote without a license? Folks from Livonia want to know.
You could, landowner, yes. Okay, if they're doing or about to be doing damage.
This is something I haven't seen in a while from St. Ignace. You very seldom see the questions of abundance in resource management. From St. Ignace, Mackinac Island is overrun by rabbits. Any solutions? Well, there would. I don't know. Can you hunt on Mackinac Island?
I don't know if you can hunt on Mackinac Island.
I don't know if you can or not.
That would be a local ordinance
Yeah.
sort of a deal.
Yeah. And this is a good one from Twitter, a tweet. Is it illegal to have a blind on separate property but overlook someone else's? Not illegal to have a blind there.
Not illegal at
Illegal
all.
to shoot a deer over there if they don't want you to.
We get this question a lot, Bob, actually.
Well,
because,
let's take a minute on it.
Yeah, because this one comes in an awful lot, because somebody says, well, my neighbor just put a blind up right on the property line, or the tree on their property line. And they can legally do that as long as they're on their own property. Okay, and they said, well, but they overlooked my property. And that's not a violation of law. And you just said it, that unless they attempt to take a deer over on their property, there's absolutely nothing illegal about it.
Nothing illegal, but by golly, you bang one over there,
Exactly.
or it runs over there. And let's do that. Let's talk about that. We used to get that question a lot. If I shoot a deer on my property and runs over to the neighbor's property, what can I do?
Okay, that's the great question. And if you do that, you need the permission of the landowner before you enter upon their property. And the question comes, well, the landowner won't let me go over there. Well, the landowner cannot legally tag an animal that they do not kill themselves. So it's kind of like, let's work together as sports persons here. And if your neighbor shoots one that comes over to your property, let them come over. A lot of landowners would say, sure, I'll go with you, and we'll go get that deer.
I always
not a
have
problem.
when something happened to me. Yeah.
Right, exactly. So, let's work
Why wouldn't
together,
you?
but get permission before you go, because if you don't, then you're trespassing.
You're subject to trespassing. Kind of the old golden rule would take care of a whole lot of this stuff, wouldn't it?
Exactly.
Yep, the old golden rule. Yeah, I wonder where you can find that copy of that somewhere, huh? Mount Pleasant, what advice do you have for someone getting into fishery biology, into the field? He's graduating this year.
Well, if he's graduating from college, you can do things like, volunteer, with us. You can call me in Cadillac, and, I'd be more than happy to talk to him about it. American Fishery Society, we have a good Michigan chapter. It's good for students to get involved and make contacts with other biologists around the state and get on our listserv. We post job openings on it. So, yeah, there's a lot of things that recent graduates can do.
Okay, and Mark said something right there. Get a hold of him in Cadillac. I don't know of a better fish biologist or a better person than Mark Tonello. And if I wanted to get in the field, I'd be talking to Mark, because Mark knows his way around, and you can trust Mark to give you a good steer on things. Facebook, how far can a floating dock be out from land in a public lake?
There is no set restrictions, okay, but it cannot be a hindrance to navigation. We can have it cause to be removed if it is, you know, but be respectful of other people. And we're getting this question a lot more, Bob, because the water levels are going down. So they're getting farther and farther out. So just make sure it's not a hindrance to navigation, because you could become liable also for that.
Oh yeah, yeah. Your insurance company isn't going to be happy about that either. So, so you know, do what's proper. You know, Montcalm County. Any laws against hunter harassment? You darn tootin'. We did that back years and years ago. People intentionally trying to disrupt your hunt.
Absolutely.
Folks in Montcalm County want to know?
If you think somebody is intentionally interfering with your hunt, whether they're banging pots and pans or blowing whistles or whatever they may be doing, again, when I said before about write down all the information, what they did, you know, everybody's got almost a smartphone now with a camera on it, take pictures or whatever, and give us a call.
Okay, and real quick, why don't you change Bobcat season November 1st through the 10th? Folks from Presque Isle want to know that. You know,
Why?
Yeah, well, that's commission sets that, don't they?
Yeah, commission sets that, and different people want different things. We have that discussion every time we set regulations.
Every time, and why not the 2nd to the 11th and all that? Being a commissioner, but you know, the other thing about it is government gets run by those who show up. My old friend Keith Charter says that all the time. And if you want to see some difference in these regulations, show up to the commission meetings. Hey, I want to thank everybody that was answering the phones over there. I see Josh Rome over there and Shadisky and some other folks over there. I want to thank them very much. I want to thank also Dean Molnar, Russ Mason, Mark Tonello, and I want to thank you for watching Ask the Specialist, Ask the DNR tonight. Folks, if you'd like to go ahead and make a contribution to public television, I'm telling you, it's the place to be and the place to be watching, and thank you so much. We'll see you again in April.